In the south of Tunisia, the desert begins. In the middle of this desert, tasty dates grow en masse at an oasis. The farmers give their date palms a lot of care. There are male and female palms there. The female ones have to be pollinated in spring. Young date palm farmers such as Mohsen Aoun undertake this work. First he climbs up the male palms to steal their seeds. Then, loaded with pollen, he climbs up the female palms. The female flowers are opened by hand and male seeds are placed inside them. To mark the palm as already pollinated and to protect the blooms against wind, the men tie up the tops. It looks difficult and tiring, but Mohsen likes his work and dreams about his own plantation. When I was a small boy, my father taught me how to climb. He taught me as well how to prune the palms again and again. If the palms are not cultivated at a certain time, then no dates will grow. In autumn, the dates are harvested, and then they have to be dried for about half a year before they can be eaten. At the market of Garbes, a town bordering on the oasis, one can buy fresh dates at an incredibly good price, as well as fruits. Garbes is known not only for the dates, but also for henna. These plants that are being dried at the market and offered in powder form grow in the nearby oasis as well. Tunisian women decorate their skin traditionally with ornaments of henna designed to prevent disasters. Even tourists can have an original henna design tattooed at a bazaar. Back to the old Romans. One of the best preserved amphitheatres in the world stands in El Gem. Built in 230 BC by the Romans, it seated 30,000 members of the audience, who cheered the gladiators in their battles with the lions. In Roman times 2,000 years ago, El Gem was the second largest town in Roman Africa. Today, only a few thousand people live there. In the mighty arcade passages, even today one could get lost very easily, though the visitor shouldn't miss the chance to breathe in the air of Imperial Rome. It is quite unique that one can explore these ancient ruins in complete peace and on one's own initiative. This magnificent building is the third largest of its type from the Roman Empire, and it is nearly as large as the Colosseum in Rome itself. The building creates an oval of 148 by 122 meters. The arena is approximately 65 meters long. Preparatory rooms for the gladiators, cages with animals, and gloomy dungeons for the slaves were placed underneath it. Sfax is maybe the richest town in Tunisia. This can be recognized by the villas and manor houses during a sightseeing tour. Palms, cacti, and bougainvillea embellish the streets and gardens around the houses. The Roman harbour used to export olive oil, olive soap, olive perfume and olive wood. Besides phosphate, oil is exported from here today. From the Romans to the original population of North Africa. The Ksour region is located in the south of Tunisia, where one typical village follows another in the middle of the stony desert. This hole had been dug into the soft rock strata. Even today these villages are partially inhabited, for example Chenini. The barbarian tribes are considered very stubborn. In the exciting history of Tunisia, they had never been subject to any authority's rule. Though there is a leader in the small splinter groups, usually he has rather a symbolic function. The barbarians have adapted their living holes perfectly to the local environmental factors. They led in Chenini a very unique life, possessing only local materials accessible to them. They were well disguised and successfully resisted the climate. Tataouine is another barbarian village in the Ksour region. The white mosque shines in the distance over the flat stone houses. Islam achieved what political leaders failed to achieve. Most of the barbarians feel they belong to the Muslim world, and Arabicization is nearly completely observed. The wind-tanned faces of the barbarians portray a poor life in the desert. But even in the desert, one pastime is observed. The Arabic version of the board game drafts is called ochre. In this region one can meet even nomads. As time went on, nearly all Tunisian nomads settled down. 19-year-old Moldy Turki is just pitching his tent. Together with his 3 sisters, he constructs a fence for the 40 sheep that belong to his parents. Moldy has to take care of the cattle in spring and summer. There is enough for the animals to graze on outside. The family had to rely on simple provisions on their travels. The flour necessary for the most basic food, bread, is ground in a stone mill. Water is carried to the tent on a donkey from nearby villages, and the water is kept cool in a sheepskin bottle. My father rides a camel to work. I am the youngest, and my brothers have standard jobs such as any other young person. However, I do this work here because I like it. Besides, I'm here with my 3 sisters and I can look after them. The landscape brings danger as well. However, Moldy cannot wander further until the sheep have grazed all the grass. When it is too stormy or too hot, the nomads move into the empty crater dwellings once built by the barbarians in the middle of this wilderness. The sheep can graze here cheaply. Other places are a bit more expensive. In this way we can bring up the sheep well and sell them later, for we earn our money by selling the animals. What is bad in this life is that it is so boring. I do the same thing every day. When we move on, we have to transport all the tools, and this is very demanding. A barely accessible slope leads us to Matmata, a barbarian village with crater dwellings. These hole dwellings are gathered around 6-meter deep holes in the ground. An old barbarian, Abdullah Abidi, adapted his living hole very cosily, and he praises the advantages of these crater dwellings. This dwelling is 200 years old and it belonged to my grandparents. Crater dwellings are cool in summer and warm in winter, and therefore they are especially suitable for old people like me. It takes about 1 year to build or dig out such a crater dwelling. Matmata gained its fame due to its crater dwellings, for these served as a coulice for some of the scenes in Star Wars. Some relics still remind us of the world-famous film saga directed by George Lucas. The inventive Tunisians made a hotel of this tract in the meantime. The underground rooms, though, do not appeal only to fans of Star Wars. Whoever looks for something exceptional can find it here in Sidi Driss. The rooms are very simply furnished, as one would expect in an old barbarian housing area. George Lucas shot some scenes in the first episode of his Star Wars saga in the Ksour village too. An old granary, the so-called ghurfas, and the comb-like dwellings of the barbarians, the Ksour, are a real attraction in Ksour. In the meantime, the barbarians live in a new village outside of ghurfas. One can still recognise the signs of comfort in these unusual comb-formed rooms, which are scenery created for Hollywood. In 1997, when the first episode was filmed here, a lot of the villagers worked as extras, Abdeselim Saidi among them. When Star Wars was shot here, the film crew showered the whole ground with sand. A space shuttle station was built here as well. I was an extra, and we extras were given special iron costumes. The camera people were very kind to us. Unfortunately, though, the actors did not seek any contact with us. I have no idea if they are always like this or if they were just concentrating so much. The director George Lucas was sometimes joking around with us, though. But he often had too much to do and could not worry about the extras. The architecture of Ksour fascinates most visitors here in Ksaar Hadada, whether they are Star Wars fans or not.